Hey, everybody, it's Keith with Trades Education Center, and we're back. It's been a while, but we are finally back with another episode of Trades Secrets, the official podcast of Trades Education Center. And I'm super excited to be joined by two distinguished gentlemen here in studio. We've got Bill Summers, who is a regional sales manager from Sioux Chief, and along with him, we have the incredible Kevin Swisher from CSA Sales, and he is the Sioux Chief expert from from CSA Sales.
Yeah.
So, did I get that all right?
Yeah,
We'll take it.
we'll take it. I like it. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, as maybe you might have caught on for those who are in the industry, you know that when you hear Sioux Chief, we're talking about a manufacturer. When you hear CSA Sales or CSA, you know we're talking about an agency. So, we've got representatives from both aspects of the industry, a manufacturer and a rep agency, which I love for people to see this interaction. I've gotten to see this with meeting with these two gentlemen. It's a beautiful thing to watch the manufacturers and the sales agencies work together to then impact the industry, which in the long run impacts customers at home and in their businesses. So the greater y'all work together, the greater we all benefit.
I like that.
Yep.
So I'm going to let them take it over. So Bill, first with you, I want to just hear your story. How in the world did we get to where one day you and I met because of Kevin? You know, like how in the world does your background get you to where you are with Sioux Chief?
Yeah. Our industry is MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing.
Mhm.
I started in the HVAC side where my grandfathers both had independent businesses.
Oh,
And my uncle and my dad met in shop class in high school and became friends, and then was introduced to my mom, the younger sister of my uncle, and then I came about. So
magically.
yeah, at right out of school, my dad had worked with his father doing installations, and my grandma ran the business from her home.
Okay.
Which back in uh, probably 55 is where that was.
No kidding.
1955.
Okay.
And then my dad went to work at a wholesaler, and he was a counter guy
Oh,
back in the day. So you had to wear Florsheim shoes with thick soles, and you had a sales manager. When a customer walked in the door, he was making sure that they were greeted by name. And
wow.
for the real old guys, when you got an account, they sent off and got a metal card with your credit information on it and a multi-carbon form. So when they wrote up your ticket, they stamped it and put it on. So
So back in the more formal days.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that interestingly, that supply house has been acquired a few times. It was Budlock in Evansville, Indiana, and they later sold out to NTCC, National Temperature Control Centers.
Okay.
And then ultimately they broke apart and were purchased by people. So there was a company called Gustav Larson, which bought them,
Okay.
and they are HVAC and refrigeration. And then recently they sold to Hajoka. So many people know who Hajoka is. So that's just that legacy.
Wow.
And I go to dinner with a rep, Lonnie Moore from Moore Sales in southern Indiana, and he has a son named Matt Moore. Well, he was a few years younger than my dad, and my dad mentored him and got him started in the territory back at Budlock. Just to give you way back.
No, this is great. That's awesome because it's this really cool pathway.
We want people in this industry, so just
Yeah.
let you know, I'm good to my family. So my dad was in the business. My uncle was in the business. My uncle had a son, and
Okay.
he bought out. My grandpa was partners with his brother, and he had two sons.
Okay.
So he and my uncle bought his brother and his son out. They went over to St. Louis and started two businesses out of that. And then he had another son, which was in sales for another contractor. So I
Okay.
mean, this is a whole family legacy here. So I'm taking too long.
No, you're not. Go ahead.
So then my dad had a couple of businesses that he ran, and he did the first geothermal installation in Southern Illinois
Wow.
for water furnace at the time. And now my cousin runs the legacy Holloway heating business. His name is Jay Holloway. So third generation there, and I was third generation, and he's the largest geothermal installer in the state of Illinois.
Wow.
And he works with Illinois Power and some other for rebates and so forth. So that legacy is still there in the original building. Then I have two sons, and my son works for a manufacturer's representative like what Kevin is, and their SFE happened to be a Sioux chief rep, but my son represents a growing HVAC sector. So he is a technical service advisor for Bosch products.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
he
yeah.
supports boilers and in-floor or outdoor heating in ground.
Wow.
He does water heaters, heat pumps, mini splits, and then Bosch acquired Johnson Controls, which used to be
Mm-hmm.
York,
Mhm.
and so he has two lines or two brands of their equipment. So they have an exclusive brand for one supply called Champion,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so he's had to go to school like you teach, and he had to pass the test that a journeyman HVAC person would do to go to their advanced school down in Oklahoma
That's
from
cool.
Johnson Controls. And then my other son works for Gustav Larson, which came up earlier, acquired by Hajoka. I opened a branch for them in Kansas City a couple
Okay.
decades ago, and he works remotely for their location in Minneapolis. And he's a commercial application specialist, and he sells a specialty product called Magic Pack. And it is a through the wall unit that's available in electric or gas on the heating side and has a cooling component
Wow.
separated top to bottom with louvers. And then it's ducted inside. So it's very unique to take care of large apartment complexes and things because you get individual air
Yeah.
filtration, UV
Wow.
protection. So they're fourth generation.
Wow.
And they're the last in the line of the summer side. So hopefully they haven't found their outright lady in the relationship yet, but hopefully that continues.
Well, what I hear from that is not just that they're four generations, because to me, it's the fact that every generation did well enough and the next generation thought well enough of how they did that they wanted to be a part of it. Because not everybody has to choose what their parent does, right? Or
Absolutely.
some relationship to it. So that tells me that there was enough of a quality of life there, of, you know, things being passed on, that you're like, yeah, I want to do that too.
It was a rough start for the guys back then as the industry has developed. My uncle couldn't get certain types of metal for different commercial projects that he would do in the town. So he just decided to build it. So I recall he built some spiral ductwork, which not many people could lay out an elbow by hand, but he did go to sheet metal school. And my grandfather laid out train cars during World War II
Wow.
in before getting into the heating business. So he had some aptitude, but you could walk through the spiral duct. That's why they didn't make it at that
Wow.
size. So gosh, that was like 40 years ago, but
Wow.
good stuff, good industry, been good to our family.
I was gonna say, I mean, and I think that's what again, I told you guys before we got on. I just want to share people's stories, because I think, even though like nowadays a lot of younger people don't have that, they don't have that 2 to 3 generation before them, but they could be the first one. Like they could be the first one in their family to start in the trades, and then bring the next 2, 3, because we need that. Like we need that again, right? And to hear that your family has continued it, to me is really inspiring, because there we've lost too many of families that didn't continue that.
Right.
So kudos to you guys and
Thank
your family. That's a pretty, and that was all like kind of all over, kind of both sides of the Mississippi up there, right?
Yeah, I've actually out of college worked for Lennox Industries, which is an HVAC manufacturer,
Yeah.
and I started in Wisconsin with them, so I moved from Missouri to Wisconsin, and then they moved me to Iowa, and then I advanced from Iowa to Minnesota, and then went into the contractor side and was the president of a HVAC firm in Minneapolis, and I did a leveraged buyout with an older gentleman that had a service business, combined with a gentleman that was struggling with his cash flow doing commercial projects because it takes longer and you have to be
Yeah.
bonded and some
Yeah.
other things. So we were able to put those two things together and create some profitability. And he had three sons, so I was a mentor to them on a limited period of time. I had a 3-year agreement to come in and teach them what we were doing. So I was fortunate at the time that Linux was kind of controversial because they created a program called Dealer Standards,
Okay.
and it had 3 different levels, and you got 3 levels of support from them. And we literally went in with an entire notebook and broke down their business, and they had to hit certain thresholds to be eligible for it. So they had to spend a certain amount of money in marketing. That time it was yellow pages and billboards, and truck wraps are probably the best dollar per person investment today. As you see the billboards move around.
Yeah.
And we evaluated their financial statements. This was quite controversial for somebody to give you their tax statement and show their revenue and what they made, and things. And the ones that did, we did some coaching, and I really enjoyed that side of the business, and helping people make money as a professional contractor. So my passion has been there, and a lot of guys start off in the trades and they see the owner, and the owner's successful, and he maybe got a new bass boat. He drives a pretty nice truck. You know, he's got this, and the perception is, but the reality is, I don't remember a Christmas that we didn't get called out on a service call on a family business. So I would ride along. In
Yeah.
those days, in that environment, you had oil furnaces.
Oh, yep.
It was a nasty thing, not
Mm-hmm.
all kinds, and competency, but that commitment's 24/7 in the business.
Yeah. I think, there's a lot of talk right now about, 6-figure jobs for people to get in the trades. And that's true, but it does come with payoffs, right? I mean, there are expectations that you're going to have when you come into the trades. Now granted, is it different? Is it cleaner? Is it nicer today to do plumbing and HVAC?
Absolutely.
Sure. But yeah, and speak to this if you don't mind, because you said you moved. I think another thing that we're seeing in this kind of 18 to 25 and 35-year range, 35-year-olds, is the resistance to want to leave home and to not follow where the jobs are. Can you speak? Do y'all see that? Or, I mean, you did it yourself, right? I mean, you moved state to state quite a bit. But talk about the benefits of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things in the industry that you can do. Kevin is a professional manufacturer's representative, and that's our philosophy for our channel, to market. And I could never learn what his agency knows with the decades that they have been in the market. Of the business was small, and it was a few people, and it expanded, and they left and went around. But you have the wholesale aspect of it, and there's very sophisticated working models relative to inventory management and time value of money, and sorting the products. And there's sales, and you can be very successful in sales like other careers. And the wholesale business is one, the contractors one, the manufacturers are one, and the manufacturers representatives are another. And you don't have to go to college if you're not really interested in what college is going to do for you. So there are some successful models like Germany, where you take aptitude tests of what you're interested in, and the older you get, the more you appreciate liking what you do, instead of it just being a job. So it's a passion that's there. So you can possibly get a signing bonus, come through, get educated, learn how to do the business, and you're giving them a approval that they're doing it the right way. You're teaching them how to do it. So as an employer, I'm going to trust your employee versus hiring someone off the street.
Sure.
And then you get into that business, and you may or may not like that aspect of it. When you get into multifamily type contractors, you maybe chase work out of town more. There's a service and repair aspect of the business. In as an electrician, as a plumber, and as HVAC, when something breaks, the homeowner needs to call.
Yeah.
There's different franchise places that help you get started in those
Sure.
businesses, and they have the model that you need to do, and they have negotiated agreements and things to help you get the right truck and the right tools and discounts based upon the volume and stuff. So then you just have to be the entrepreneur that launches. And then you can own your own business. That in my dad's era, that was what he wanted to do. I kind of took personal away from that and said, gosh, we would try to watch a movie as a family. My dad was on the phone all night, interrupting the movie, talking to customers that were calling and doing bids and stuff. And I thought, gosh, I don't want to work 18 hours a day. So now I work 18 hours a day traveling and selling plumbers.
That's right. Travel.
So you can't get out of it once you get in it, I think.
Well, I was going to say, that's the thing. Like, you've been able to move around in these different roles because that's what the trades offer, right? It's not like you go in as one thing and that's all you're ever going to do, right? There's so many different pathways within each and every one of the trades, and there's so many of them just overlap that there's no end to what you could do if you find an area that I'd say you like to talk to people more. Let's get into sales.
Well, Brill and I were just talking about that on the way over here.
Yeah.
That it's still a very relational. The trades are very relational.
Oh man.
And even though with all, automation, computerization, everything in the digital world, we still rely upon, the trust and the relationship of others. And I think that's what's so important. What I appreciate about, the Trades Education Center is linking them, not just with the manufacturers, but with the reps, seeing all the different spokes that what the trades can do. You don't have to necessarily be the guy with the plumber's crack. You know what I mean? That's great. We need that.
Yeah.
We need more of that. And I know there's definitely a deficit there, but there's a wide net of opportunity within the trades, no matter which direction you want to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I started out in picking up the phones. I started in the plumbing industry, just picking up the phones at a call center for Hansgrohe back in 2007.
No
So
kidding.
I learned my plumbing, trial by fire, right? Just hearing what problems are and having reps call me and saying, how do I get this? How do I solve a solution? How do I get a solution to this problem here? There's a failure here and such. And, working my way through that, and then other, channels and other areas and departments within different manufacturers, has gotten me to where I am now. I mean, I just a lot of information from different things, but it all goes back to who's the number one customer, and that's really to understand that the trade component, the plumber, who makes all things happen, and the impact that they have. So we need them.
Yeah. Well then you said you started with in 2007. Let's go a little bit further back. So what got you to where you ended up at a call center working on plumbing issues?
I was unemployed.
Okay.
I was.
Where we all start.
Yeah, exactly. I was
out of the womb.
Yeah. No. I had done a lot of different things. I went to college at 25. So
Okay.
I worked, waited tables, did other odd jobs, just to make money, bartending, things like that. And I think that might have been where maybe some of my people development skills happened.
I was gonna say it sounds like you're all about people.
All about the peoples. Yeah. People are my like addiction.
Yeah.
So, I like but really, more paramount to that is solving people's problems. So, finding solutions. What can I help you with? I consider myself a conduit. Help me be that. I want to help you get to what you need to do, and I can get the resources connected with that. And that's where I think that I can play. That's the role that I play, is being that conduit of a solution-minded salesperson.
Sure.
It's not about the dollar to me. To me, it's about helping somebody else. And again, with this being such a relational industry, as I learned, and I've continued, being in it, that, the more we rely upon each other instead of work against each other, I think we all rise up.
Sure.
Rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say back to your bartending days. I mean, that's you learn really good listening skills as a bartender.
Oh, absolutely. And drinking skills.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I was trying to focus on the positive one, but
Well, it was positive at times. So, no.
but seriously, I mean, that, everybody knows, like, the next thing besides a therapist is a bartender, right? Is
Absolutely.
the person that listens to your issues. I mean, to me, it's not that weird that you ended up being in what you're doing because of those experiences. So
absolutely.
Keep going. So you were at the call center for a while.
Call center for a while. Worked there for 7 years. Actually worked, then jump ship to go work for Georgia Tech. Got out of the plumbing industry.
No kidding.
Got to work with engineers, and that's where I really cut my teeth learning engineer language.
Oh, cool.
So I was working in the marketing side of things there.
Ooh.
But my job was butts in the seats. So that's what it was all about. Get the bits. So, and then I moved back into the plumbing world, with NKBA and then American Standard. I was a manufacturer direct rep there.
Yeah.
And now with CSA Georgia, working and representing 17 lines, but I'm focused as you mentioned, the Sioux chief specialist.
Yeah. Well, can y'all, because again, helping understand the industry, because I know I've heard, not that I've been around long enough to know it, I've just heard it from other people. How has that trend gone back and forth between some manufacturers wanting to have their own reps that are out in the field versus the agencies? Like, what are the trends that y'all have seen? What do you think? Where do you think that's trending now? Yeah, either one.
Bill, I'll let you start.
Yeah, when you look at different evolutions, when mini split technology came, we were a forced air market. So we really started with gravity furnaces, burning wood. If you look back at the old cabins and things, it provided the light, it provided the heat
Okay.
in the house. And then we got fuels. So we went to coal
Okay.
and natural gas and propane. And that developed. So then we had this mini split system that people didn't understand because we had this ductwork in our house and like that'll never work. So the manufacturers were quite dismissive of that, and I believe Japan would be the basis of where that technology came from with companies like Mitsubishi and Fujitsu, and then Korea picked that up. So you've got LG and Samsung,
Okay.
particularly from there, and then China got involved. So when they came over, they tried to talk to the air people and were pretty dismissive. And they went to manufacturers reps, and then in some cases they decided to deploy factory people, and now it's a significant segment of the industry. And then the manufacturers of the forced air equipment would private label the technology coming over. And at that time, Copeland was king of
Yeah,
compressors,
that's right.
and
Okay.
you had Tecumseh and a couple other people. And now it's the Asian mini split people are making the compressors that work with most of our equipment today because it was more efficient. It was direct current instead of alternating current.
Okay.
And I thought that this industry didn't change much, and it doesn't from the surface appearance, but there's a lot of technology changes and
Yeah.
issues today. And I think if you're excited about stuff, I didn't see a lot of application for science. That really wasn't my thing in school. And now I realize how much science is in what I do every day. So
Absolutely.
from gravity, bringing the water down,
Physics.
the
Physics, yep.
fluid state of
Mm-hmm.
ice, steam, liquid water,
Yeah.
and a plumber used to deal primarily with water, but
Mm-hmm.
now that we heat water differently, you have to have gas pressures. So you've got to have that, and you've got to have electrical knowledge now
Yep.
that you didn't have before.
Yeah.
Could be low voltage, but sometimes in high voltage. And some of the other issues that sprang out of that is we're learning about microplastics and what did we do to ourselves and how is that influenced. And
Yeah.
so you see stems of different companies that make the water better and purify the water from filtration and
Mm-hmm.
possibly UV lights and removal of the microplastics and the air that we breathe on the other side, building a tight environment.
Yeah.
So if you think about what you should really be the most important thing when you buy a house is the air you breathe and the water you drink and where your waste goes.
Yeah.
And that's where our industry hits.
Well,
That's a good point as far as the fight. That's another segment that I'm seeing growing very quickly with plumbers is water filtration.
oh yeah.
Our
Yeah.
CSA of Georgia, we represent Halo water filtration systems,
Okay.
and that is activated charcoal. There's also a reverse osmosis system. But that right there is what I would call a growing segment for
Sure.
plumbers is installing those. They need a professional installation, and having the appropriate training and tools and whatnot on that is an ever growing segment, especially with water quality
Yeah.
starting to be so poor.
I was just at a class last week, and they were talking about that. Like even as because like here locally around us, Gwinnett County has probably one of the premier water systems in the nation,
Right.
right? Barrow County, where I live, they're supposedly number one in the state in terms of how good the water tastes.
Right.
So there are a lot of great systems doing great work, but there's still concerns that people have about the water that actually gets into their home because you might be 10 miles from your water source. A lot of things can happen, right?
Right,
and
right.
and the whole PFAS and fluoride. There's different people that have concerns, and then not to mention get out in the rural area. Now you got well systems, and that's a whole nother ball game. Is what's in a well system?
Yeah, the readings of, I mean, you look at over where a lot of the carpet manufacturers are, they're having a lot of
Yeah.
problems, in Calhoun, Dawsonville, or not, I'm sorry, not Dawsonville, Dalton, Georgia.
Yeah, Dalton.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
theirs is much higher, because of runoff, well water, things like that. So those are a growing concern, as we start to see some of those, some of the things from 50, 60, 70 years ago of industrialization starting to take effect in our water sources.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I want to go back to something really quick. Can you give us, because I don't think I've ever talked about it on this podcast. Can you give us a good basic breakdown between a forced air system and a mini split?
Sure. Generally in refrigeration, you think that you're cooling something off. And that's exactly wrong. We're actually taking the heat out of the item.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I buy a gallon of milk, and I know a BTU is a British thermal unit, and it's how
Mhm.
much energy it takes to heat up a volume of water to a certain temperature in a certain period of time creates that. So I have to take the heat out of that item in the refrigerator, just like in your car.
Okay.
Cycling that. So a forced air system conditions the air by centrally pulling it out of returns. And the problem in the industry is that architects and people don't like return air. So they starve the system.
Yeah.
And if I can't pull air from a location, then I can't heat it or cool it in that location because it's a function of recycling that
Yeah.
air
You
through a
can't
process.
get enough to move.
Yes. Um, a ductless system is no ductwork spreading it. So it's a miniature head that goes on the wall. It could be a picture frame. It could be a pedestal that sits. It could be a cartridge that drops out of the ceiling in an office environment. So it's quieter. And when I'm putting a forced air system in, particularly in commercial application, I have to worry about the volume of air. I have to worry about the velocity of the air. And
Mhm.
I have to think about the thermal transfer that goes on. So we call that R value. So
Okay.
we try to put insulation in to reduce or increase the resistance of the transfer. So heat always goes to cold,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and it's trying to create equilibrium. And so
Mhm.
it's always a transfer occurring. Well, I don't lose any heat on the inside wall. I lose the heat on the outside wall. So my windows are the biggest culprit, and the transfer in the walls, that's what I'm trying to do. So my register has to pull air from that room and throw air back in the area where the infiltration is coming in. And so insulating and around the doors and around the outlets, and you see all that, that does serve a purpose. It's not just marketing. It
Yeah.
really works. A ductless system is taking the air in that contained space and recycling it through the head that's inside. So it has a coil that would normally set on your furnace,
Okay.
and the properties that both work with is the boiling point of the refrigerant that's inside it.
Okay.
So when it's a gas, it can absorb heat, and I take it through the refrigeration system and I blow air across it, and that turns it back into a liquid. The compressor compresses gas into a liquid, so it gives off the heat. So I'm trying to get that outside so that the cooling is there. And then I have this mystery thing called humidity. So when I go press on my thermostat, and you cannot make it cooler in the house by lowering the thermostat. So if it's 74 and you want it 72, if you turn it to 68, it's not going to get there any faster. It's a function of the BTUs that are there. There's a lot of misnomers.
Huh.
And in a ducted system, people think that John's gone off to college, so I'm going to shut off his room and I'm going to block all these down, and it's going to save me on my heating utilities. And the dadgum utility companies tell you that's what you should do. And all you're doing is starving your system.
Because you're not allowing for that additional flow.
Right. So it's a static pressure that it forces down, and the higher the static pressure, the harder the motor works. The motor takes more wattage to run, creates more heat, and then it fails because it's above its operating temperature. So if I don't get enough return, take a straw and block half of it off and try to suck in, your whole head will blow up on you, right?
Yeah.
Because I got the volume of the straw, and that's what I have to
Yeah.
work with.
Well, does this play into because I've heard this too about some of the challenges that we're having with with HVAC, is now homes are being made. I'm hearing the word tighter
Yes, sir.
than they used to be, which presents a different problem for HVAC, whether it's a forced air or mini split. Wh- Explain that a little bit, and when I say tighter, explain what I just said because I'm not sure I know.
Well, we put vapor barrier on, and it's the target is to not allow that thermal transfer to occur.
Okay.
So there are what's called volatile organic compounds.
Okay.
So if you're in a new car, the new car
VOCs.
smell
Yeah.
is the last thing you want in that car, because that's the outgassing of the plastic, the carpet, all of that. So we need to introduce fresh air into the house. I liken it that if you're doing plumbing and you're reaching down and you're soldering and acid drops in your eye, I can't get the acid out of my eye. So all I can do is flush it with water and dilute it so that it's not at a damaging level in there.
Because it's there.
It's there. And so that's what's happening in our house is we have toxic substances. And so we can bring in fresh air and put it through a mixing box that the exhausting air is conditioning the air that's coming in, whether it's hot or cold. So I don't have to change the utility. But how that's calculated is the cubic volume of the house. I need to have a cubic volume of air change based upon what's inside
What
the
comes in and what comes out.
Yes. And with a tight house and not bringing in air, when I go to turn the bath fan on, sometimes that works a little, but we don't always put the right size fan. We put a cheap fan with a light on it, and it doesn't really, if you can't put a piece of toilet paper up there and keep it sucked to the fan, you're not getting enough air outside.
No kidding.
So then I'm going to have humidity when you take a shower.
I'm testing that when I go home.
Generally, a daughter or a wife are probably going to take a longer shower than
Oh, 100%.
boy, and you have
Yeah.
multiple kids. So
Yep.
that goes back to our water efficiency. And
Yeah.
how do we get hot water and mixed, and it the whole industry is related because you're living in that home.
Yeah.
Or controlling an environment that's not a controlled thing. So that's the beast that's there to overcome.
So what I'm hearing as a homeowner is it doesn't pay to cheap out.
Correct. I would get rid of the fancy faucet and get good quality water. And I would get rid of some of the other stuff and have good air.
Okay.
We
Gotcha.
make humidifiers because if you don't have enough humidity, you feel cold and your skin dries out and it's evaporation that occurs. You can't beat that.
Yeah.
And if you have wood floors and other things, they can get
They'll
saturated
dry. Yeah.
with moisture. And you have to dehumidify. So think about going into a cave.
Mm-hmm.
It gets hot down here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the 90s, and you go down a cave, it feels good for a few minutes, 55 degrees or something. And then you're like,
But then you get,
you got to get rid of this humidity that's on.
yeah.
So that's the hidden part that costs a lot of energy in the house.
Mm.
But the bad thing is that when that house needs air, it's going to get it. It's going to get it from somewhere. You don't want it.
You might not like where it gets it from.
Right. I don't want that coming in from my garage after I just drove in and turned
Yeah.
off my car and bringing in more toxins there. And I definitely don't want the combustion gas that's going out from my water heater being sucked back in the basement, because that goes outside because it can kill me.
Yeah. Carbon monoxide. Yeah.
And that is an open path in an 80% unit. And then as we remodel our kitchens and put in big industrial fans and all the pot fillers and 6-burner stoves and everything else, where does the incoming air come with that? What that sucks out, it's going to come from someplace that you don't want it to come from.
Yeah.
So if we can control what comes in, you get a better product.
Wow. There's we're gonna have to do a whole nother episode
know.
on this stuff.
We're gonna hit all the trades. Yeah.
I mean,
you got the HVAC guy right here.
They're all
I mean,
related.
well, again, this is why I want people to hear, because again, this is another conversation I have with young people all the time. Is once you get into one trade, chances are you're probably going to get into 2 or 3 others.
Makes sense.
I mean, right? Because you start to understand one, and there's some bleed over, and there's some overlap here and there, and all of a sudden, you're getting into another area.
Right.
If I own a zip code and I want to work close to my house and I'm replacing air conditioners and I'm replacing water heaters, I'm in your home. So I'm probably going to have a friend that does windows because I can see it's causing a problem. Say, well, you might want to call my buddy Chuck to get your windows done. But interestingly, I'm running wires and pulling them through the walls and I'm replacing faucets and all that stuff. So if I do a survey of your house, I can show you the things that aren't working, and then you can put them into the budget to take care of later. But I could probably put a security camera in for you based on my technicians.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think you're probably even adding here to the trade school. You're probably going to start teaching trades other than plumbing.
That's the plan. Very, very soon.
Yep. So I can't think of a better place to start here, hands-on.
Yeah.
And really get a chance to use the materials that you're going to be using on a day-to-day basis and understand why you're using them. And there's a lot more thought to it than people might perceive.
Yeah.
Even Kevin mentioned the engineers, how critical they are in the industry.
Absolutely.
You've got general contractors, you've got
Yeah.
home builders, and the home builder's building the house. He's building the structure and selling that, but they usually let you make the choices. You pick out your lights and you pick out your carpet and
Yeah.
all that.
I want to get back to Kevin. As a manufacturer's rep,
Mhm.
what's the most important aspect of what you do as it really, like, let's pick on Sioux Chief. What's the most important thing that you do as it relates to Sioux Chief and the plumbers?
Answer my phone. That's probably the most important thing. Answer my phone. Respond to emails. I think even though we're all connected, we're very disconnected, I think.
Yeah.
In to, just the way that we are.
Sure.
There's a lot of busyness. We all have it, and we're all chasing, something down. And I think my to-do list, it just keeps growing because it's a dot dot dot. I got it to be continued or whatnot.
Sure.
It's just tough. Time is time, but it's how certainly me and projects and so many other variables go. I mean, you know, in the plumbing world specifically. Um, one of the things I'm always trying to encourage is forecasting. Tell me when you need this particular product.
Yeah.
When is this going to go? But that's a question I ask a lot. I mean, I try to be proactive, but the construction industry is as good as we're trying to get it with tools like Construct Ready or Construct Connect and all the other platforms that they have out there, Procore. Um, it's still that human interaction that we have to have. Requests for information is a big one for engineers. RFIs. I need this, or where's the piece to this, or how does this work with this? Um, the communication, I think, is paramount. Being available and then being able to communicate back. And oftentimes, being newer to my role, I don't have the answers, but I'm going to find them. I'm going to chase them down.
I was going to say, like,
So
not just saying you're going to get an answer, but actually provide it
provide an answer
and come back.
and the way I operate is, I want more people in my camp,
Yeah.
and I would hope that, I want to be part of your camp as well. And, I think there's power in numbers.
Mhm.
So as far as a rep and talking to Bill and his team at Sioux Chief, that's critical. I don't have an answer, and they're the professionals. Y'all are the manufacturers, and I lean on him and his team a lot. As I just begin to understand the rough plumbing world. My
Yeah.
background has always been in fixtures,
Yeah. Yeah.
outside
Yeah.
the wall
Yeah.
stuff. So now I'm
Yeah.
dealing with stuff behind the wall.
Inside the wall.
But yeah, I mean, what I would encourage is anybody that's considering, going into to a representative, as a manufacturer or any avenue that you're going to be dealing with people, particularly in sales, is um, communication's got to be number one, or at least one and two.
I was going to say, and do what you say and say what you mean, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Or mean what you say and say what
Yeah.
you mean. And
Follow through on what you say you're going to do. Yeah. And if somebody's calling me, they have a need.
yeah,
Be that solution.
yeah.
So
And well, I mean, going back to relationships, right? Because I mean, I've learned pretty quickly in this arena that it- once you learn, at least I have, once I've learned about 5 or 6 names, once I've known like yourself, then all of a sudden I'm connected to a lot of people
absolutely.
just from like 5 or 6
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
because the industry's a family,
It really is.
in a lot of ways.
I met you through a wholesaler and through another plumber.
Yep.
I happened to meet them at an event. And then I got the opportunity to meet you, and we've known each other and communicated several times, and always here to find a solution for you for that next generation.
100%.
I mean, they need the tools and you provide the expertise, you know, as a manufacturer's rep and working with the manufacturer, let us provide, the tools that you need to feel comfortable
When that's
out there.
that's what I was trying to tee you up for, was to say part of what you do, because I've heard y'all talk about it the last time y'all were here with me, was manufacturer listens to plumbers.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And y'all shared with me, because now I want to transition to talking about Sioux Chief a little bit more, which is, as a manufacturer, y'all want that input from the field so much that y'all have solutions that y'all develop because plumbers brought them to you.
Sure. I just wanted to add one comment that's
Please do.
simple. You mentioned, what is Kevin's job? I think you probably have it on the shelf: cement. So you're probably solvent welding,
relationships.
solvent welding PVC, right?
Yeah.
For our pipe. What happens if you forget to do your joint?
It will fall apart.
That's what manufacturers reps do. He's the cement that
The
keeps
glue.
the contractor, the wholesaler, and the manufacturer getting the right stuff in the field.
So to get real technical, he softens up everybody to work together better.
Exactly.
Hey, I do what I can. I do what I can. So absolutely makes it more fun, and we should have fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to Sioux Chief, one of the things I was so impressed. My first visit there was right after I started in last November, and not only was I think reinvigorated, but and inspired at domestic manufacturing.
Mm.
We got Bill did great on giving us a factory tour. and does that with contractors. And I'm telling you, it sells itself because I'm seeing domestic manufacturing. I'm seeing things that I think that everything is made in China, but no, it's being made right here in Peculiar or Kansas City, Missouri. And there's real people talking to you on the line, if obviously within safety parameters and stuff.
Sure.
But it was the voice and the face of domestic manufacturing, which I was so inspired by. So
I mean, that's a story in and of itself.
yeah, and then second to that was the roundtable and the discussions with leadership and with Sioux Chief, who a lot of the decision makers saying, we want to hear from you. What's the input that you have? And they truly listen to it. And Bill, I'd like you to comment certainly on your feedback as to something that's been mentioned and then implemented.
Yeah, Sioux Chiefs, we'll kind of start a little bit with the history, if that's okay.
Yeah, please do.
I'll kind of get into that, but
Perfect.
we're in our third generation of leadership
Okay.
by the Ismert family, Ismert, and Ed Ismert was involved in wholesale in the brothers. So generally, the generations are about 10 kids in each generation. So it's
Wow.
a big family tree. And as those have gone, girls, boys, all this other stuff, several other manufacturers, rep agency, and wholesalers are just some of the businesses that the legacy of the family has been involved in. But
Wow.
Ed said, there is a stub out and it's a copper piece. That's how we did plumbing when he started, 1957. You had to solder a cap on a piece of copper and make sure it didn't leak. So they pressure tested it. He's like, all right, so then you come back and you have to put a connection on that, whether it's a tub spout or a shower head or a faucet, a valve to shut off that water. He's like, so then you have to cut that cap off that you just soldered. So twice I'm taking in my torch and he goes, I wonder if copper would move. So he literally gas stove and a drill worked to spin the copper in a flame to see if he could get it to move. And that became our spun closed end, which Sioux Chief is famous for. You've got a little bullet right there. Yeah,
Absolutely.
This thing,
like a bullet.
it is. It's okay. Y'all should, if y'all have a good relationship with Sioux Chief, which you should get one of these. Y'all sent these to the. I mean, all the plumbers that are involved in our school are like, oh, now that's cool.
It is cool.
That's slick.
And it's truly a fitting because there's 5 times more material in the end where the bullet is than on the side of that.
Holy cow.
So it takes the pressure and doesn't leak. So
wow.
When we're fabricating copper, we go through millions and millions of pounds of copper a year. We're heating it, cooling it, moving it, annealing it so that it's soft when it needs to be soft and it's firm when it needs to be firm. But we use mandrels that go through and create those bends, and we are not stretching the copper.
Okay.
It's maintaining its consistency. So when I say a fitting actually has a classification with wall thickness and other things. So if you're making a bend in it, it has a different strength than and ours is actually stronger than the fitting with that spun closed end on the end.
Wow.
We show people that machinery and stuff when we're there.
Sure.
Ed had pioneered that. Now we have our ownership group is his grandchildren on that side. And how we talk to contractors is we come in and we show them what we do and we ask them a lot of questions. So you're out there every day. What keeps you awake at night is a question. What do you worry about?
Yeah.
You listen to a general contractor, he's like, I don't want any leaks because it shuts that down and it's terribly expensive. Contractors come with a variety of things. Well, it just takes too much time. It's frustrating or somebody gets hurt. So how do we take away those issues? And they're like, if you just did this or you just did that, that would be great. So over our history, most of the things that we have, although we have a brilliant internal creative team to do that and put all that together, have come from suggestions of people doing it every day. So sometimes we actually compensate people or purchase those things or derivatives or whatever to get the patent.
Yeah.
Today's world is a lot shorter before it gets copied and replicated, and the technology we have to literally take something 3-dimensionally, scan it, all that stuff. It takes a while to get all of that set up. But when you do that, nobody's ever built that before because it's an idea that went down on paper.
Yeah.
So we can't just call Germany and order a machine to do this.
Yeah.
So we have a full machine shop, and that's a whole other discipline.
That's right. I remember this now. Yeah.
So we
Okay.
create out of stainless steel blocks dies that go into injection molding machines.
Golly.
We're up to close to 100 machines now building all these variety of
Wow.
things. And then the physical machine itself, if you look at our website today, it shows some robotic automation. And about 78% of what we make is made in America. And we had a competency with copper, and then we went to extrusion. So we're extruding plastics to make PEX, polyethylene, cross-linking it. And then we use as many as 37 different resins in our resin room, and it gets vacuumed up to the machines. So we have ABS and CPVC and PVC and black and white and gray and all kinds of things.
Wow.
Those materials that are pressure rated have to be virgin. So we have to do that. And we try to recycle and regrind, and certain non-pressured items, like maybe an escutcheon, can have a certain volume of
recycled material.
So we try to be environmentally friendly there, but it's a pretty clean plant relative to the materials that we work with.
Wow.
So we have employees about every month. Someone that's had 30 years of service is retiring.
Wow.
In a manufacturing environment, I think that says a lot about how the family felt about the people that are there.
Certainly does.
So we pay a little higher wage, get a little bit longer vacation, a little better benefits to keep people, and that goes into the price. And so when it's made in America, we lost so much manufacturing, crazy things.
Yeah.
So this building a machine, we look at how many products per minute or hour can we do and where are the defects. And I'll use our hang stuff J-hook. That's a video that's on the website. We would build it in an injection molding machine, and it would kick out into a great big box. So several thousand of them in a box. And then they would move that with a forklift over to a line, and a person would reach into the box and grab a single hook and put it on an auger with slotted things and put those on. And then they invented other technologies. We use potato chip packaging machines. We use meat packing machines that put film out that we can shrink wrap the stuff inside an individual container instead of a box. And then everything's sealed and all together, not lost. But this vibrating machine lines up the nails. So they dump a box of nails in there, and they've got to go get shaken, and they perpetuate through there. And then a machine pushes those nails into the hook.
Wow.
Then you have to take the hook off and put it on another auger to go down to where the box is. So we make 1/2 inch, 3/8, 4-inch J hooks, all the sizes. And that was a patented product. So there are several inherent features within that J hook.
Wow.
But today we have a non-operator machine that's automated. So it starts with dumping that set of nails in, but we don't have to shake them like that anymore. There's a robot arm that grabs the nails and it moves it over to a flat plate, and it puts the nails in. And then another arm picks it up, lifts it up, takes it to the back, goes down, puts the nails in the die, and it collects the previously made set of hooks. Machine closes up and injects more plastic in, and the arm comes back and drops them 2 at a time in a box, and they go onto a conveyor belt and out. So exponentially, we can produce more J hooks. So the more volume that we can get of an item like that, I can compete with China because I'm just buying my material and I have the investment in a machine.
Yep.
If I can keep my machine busy, I can run it all day long, as many days a week as I need to do. So where we can get volume, we're innovating, and we don't just fire that person that built those before. We need more people because we have a very large staff compared to the first few years, hundreds of employees.
Wow.
And there are certain intellectual things that someone needs to do on the line, and moving things around, and alarms go off and refilling machines. So it's a pretty good job relative to that. So that's how we're fighting to keep it relevant and keep it here in America.
Wow.
And then our president looks for vertical integration.
Okay.
So if you're using copper, you're probably connecting it somehow. So you might need a brass nut on it to connect to the top of the water heater. So he bought a brass manufacturing company. So we designed the brass fittings that we need to come in, and we do make some domestic ball valves that go on our manifolds, which is unheard of.
Wow.
And probably shouldn't let the cat out of the bag, but we're very close to releasing domestic supply lines, braided stainless supply lines.
No kidding.
Be the only manufacturer that makes those in America.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
The customers want them because they've seen them on plant tours, and we're scaling for productivity on them because that's a pricing aspect.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and speak to that too, because I think that's something that, again, I'm learning a lot the last 3-4 years. And one of the things I am learning, particularly about manufacturing, is spooling up and having machinery run all the time. Like, cause that's what gets you to that, price point, that affordability. I mean, if, you hear all the time, well, plant's got to shut down for this amount of time. That is not good. Right. So
Right.
having, and y'all are designing and building your machinery, I'm sure what goes into that is, ways that we can maintain it easily and, efficiently so that you can keep it going.
Yeah, he bought another injection molding company that has a tighter focus of what they do because we're using 300 to 700 pound presses, and it takes a lot of pressure to build a closet flange.
Yeah.
I think that's probably our biggest machine.
Okay.
But we build our tubular in Iowa in another facility. And then recently we bought a metal manufacturer. So we need metal components for bracketing and
Sure.
other things.
Sure.
So the more things that go into the products that we deliver that we can get that integration, then we can keep that number in America. But in order to do that move of our tubular is an inexpensive product.
Sure.
And you guys install it and everything. So we were challenged on such a low cost item to compete with the international. So they built a giant machine that can visually identify the difference between black and white on ABS and PVC.
Okay.
And it can identify 12 fittings, and it has 4 rows of bags, and the machine can grab the various fittings and drop them in the correct bag, and it advances down the conveyor, and it can do that it's completely automated.
Wow. Wow.
So that's just some cool stuff behind it. So I think there's a Modern Marvels video on our website that you can look at where they came in, and it's a lot different than people perceive us to be with what we do because we really own the process, and our commitment as a family kind of cuts 2 ways, right? You could have nepotism and some things that would be a classic business problem, but we have more inventory than a publicly held company would allow anyone to have, probably 2 or 3 times the amount, because we've for the last 10 months maintained a 98 almost 99% delivery rate. And we want to keep people happy. It's a missed opportunity if we can't get it to the people when they need it.
Well, I was going to say, and that's something I know I've heard very recently with everything going on, internationally, of, places not getting the raw materials they need to make the product that they need to get it to the warehouses.
Yeah.
That's a very real problem. So that makes a lot of sense that y'all are not just, you can only control what you've got in house.
Yes, sir.
Right. Once it's out of house, you can't control that. You can't control, how much of the raw product you can get or how much, of the manufacturing you can take care of. If you've got all that in house, you can control it more.
Yep.
Right. Right.
You have to stay in your lane.
Oh, 100%.
And do the things that you're talented to do, but adding brass and adding metal were supplements to
That made sense.
driving need. It made sense to do those things.
That's awesome.
So the other part of that story about the nails is they called it homework in the Ismert family. I might not have it exactly right, but we sell a product that is a Sioux Chief product called a Talon.
Yep.
And it has a nail in it, and it holds the various sizes and different configurations, holds the pipe.
Yep.
The copper or whatever. They would take a bucket of Talons with no nails in them because we didn't have a machine to do it. And so the kids put the nails in the Talons. That was homework. I believe that to be a completely true story.
Yeah. Imagine that.
I mean, that to me, that's a classic, like, homegrown American manufacturing story.
Right.
Right. Is everybody's all in, trying to get it up off the ground.
Absolutely.
That's too cool.
Yeah.
Again, it excites me to hear all that y'all are doing to innovate and to continue to be, as I mean, really US focused as you can possibly be,
Yes.
which I think to me for the younger generation, that should be exciting because that means there's going to be job opportunities, right? There's going to be career opportunities.
Absolutely.
And not just there at the headquarters, but also around the country as you travel and others travel. And Kevin's out here, taking care
Cover
of
Georgia.
the
cover- Yeah.
the connection from you guys to Georgia. So, anything else on the horizon that you want to share with us before we take off? And actually, I want to get a little bit with from Kevin on CSA. Go ahead.
Sure. We use AI. We're learning to use that more every day. We use robotics, and we still hire more people every year.
Awesome.
So that's a big concern with where you put yourself going forward. But I think this industry is not replaceable to the human element. And I think that the American plumber has a vital role. You
Mhm.
look back in history, I've seen some campaigns of plumbers made the world safer with sanitation.
Yep.
It might be American standard. I'm not sure who was originated that, but I
Yeah.
see those posters.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah.
Soldiers would try to overtake castles back in that era, and they would die not because they got shot or killed, but because they didn't have sanitation.
Right.
And so the plumber has had hundreds of years of practice now, right, to keep us safe. So
And you guys support that effort
100%
every day.
Yeah, and
That's awesome.
I believe so much in your program. We were happy to provide you things that
Oh man.
students can put hands on.
Mm-hmm.
Come check your place out. It's amazing what you're doing. I think our entire company was excited to participate to help you get more products and let people experience it. We've gotten so many classes taken away in shop classes.
Sure.
My dad, my uncle
yeah.
went. You don't know about this.
Yeah.
And with two working parents, a lot of times
Mm.
wasn't quite the percentage back a few decades
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
And that's there. And so you got helicopter parents and
Oh,
all
yeah.
these things. And
Everybody calls somebody now.
yeah, what kind of degree do you want to get? Shoot, I was going to school and I didn't know. So I took general business and then ended
Yeah.
up being marketing. Unless I know I want to be a veterinarian or a heart surgeon or something
Yeah.
like that, it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
pick.
Right.
I bet. What's a staggering number you would think of people who go to college thinking one thing and end up with a completely different degree?
Oh, several.
Or get a degree and don't even use it.
Well,
Yeah.
in that field, yeah,
In that field.
absolutely.
Yeah.
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 100%. No, it's
But
true.
I think you can get a high paying job, maybe a signing bonus, and never have to be in debt going into the trades.
And never have to worry about where your next job's going to be.
Right.
Because you can always get one. Well, I truly appreciate the support y'all have given us already, and because it's not just, as I shared with y'all before we got on here, it's not just impacting the people that come through the literal school here, but it's also affecting when I'm going out to the high schools and talking to students, 8th grade all the way up to 12th grade. They're working with products from different manufacturers. They're doing real like plumbing work with their hands, and y'all have an impact on that, and I appreciate that greatly.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to chat about it. A lot of what we do was selling stuff to other people that was intellectual property. And it's pretty hard to put a stamp on something that's an intellectual thing and pick a stock about how many of them I'm going to sell. And, we're elbows and pipe and fittings, and we can see the structure of where we're going. We can do that with the trades. So
Yeah, I like to say whenever I transition from American Standard to Sioux Chief, I said, yeah, I'm dealing with rough stuff like elbows and 90s and stuff. It's not as sexy as urinals and toilets because that's real sexy. But it is necessary, and I'm so proud and appreciate being aligned with Sioux Chief. And one of the conversations I have with contractors, engineers, plumbers, even other wholesalers is, you know, I think we've gotten away in general. This is a general statement I'm saying.
Sure.
From the value, we've gone to operating on price, and one of the things I encourage is let's operate on value rather than price. And that's one of the things even in the trades, like your expertise, as a plumber, as a contractor, as an engineer, as a rep manufacturer, as an educator, you bring value.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, looking for the lowest and shopping for the cheapest and whatnot, I want to do my part to encourage changing that dialogue.
Yeah.
And standing, with a manufacturer like Sioux Chief makes it all the easier. So
Yeah.
makes it much helpful.
Did you just say that the lowest cost isn't always the lowest price?
Maybe I said that. Can we go back and edit that?
I think that's what you just
I
said.
probably did. The lowest cost isn't the best value.
Yeah, the best value. And it's
May cost you more in the long run.
well, and it's funny because we had a very similar conversation with this most recent group of apprentices about the actual work side of listen, if you're only going to look for a job based on the hourly rate,
Right.
that's all you're ever going to get out of this industry is a paycheck.
Right.
And trust me, you're going to burn out pretty quickly too.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
And we're like, you have to have something greater than a paycheck, than that dollar amount. There's got to be something greater that it means to you than just that dollar amount value,
Value. Yeah.
you know? And so I'm glad to hear that. And I know not everybody out there wants to hear that, but on the flip side, if the value's not there, you might pay up front, you might pay the lowest cost, but you're going to have to pay it again and again because the value is not there for the product to be as good as it should be. You're going to have to replace it again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and I think the same thing goes, as it relates to work and to labor. If you're going to do a short, quick job, you're not going to get, the output, as great as what you would as spending more time in it. And
Yeah.
I know in trades, I can make a lot of money. You can, but you have to put in the time.
Yeah.
I read something, a plumber said something like, why do I get charged, you know, $500, for 20 minutes worth of work? Well, it took 10 years to get that towards 20 minutes
Yeah.
of work.
Yeah.
There's 10 years of behind hard, blood, sweat, and tears going into that I can do it in 20 minutes now. I have the expertise. I've listened. I've learned. I've taken everything that's been given to me, and
Mhm.
now I'm applying it, and now I can have the output. So, it's not a lottery ticket. There is no quick win in this.
Nope.
Not in life.
No.
I would encourage, just like I would encourage all the students, which I'm excited about. I will be attending in the fall. So little plug right there. I'm gonna get the opportunity to experience what plumbers do,
Yeah.
through your school. So through the Trades Education Center, and I'm very excited about that.
I'm excited. Now, if you don't mind, Bill, we're going to let Kevin share who all else does CSA rep out there.
17 brands. Acre, which is a tub manufacturer, Alro, Aquatic Tubs, Kalefi, Dundee Manufacturing, which is also owned by Sioux Chief, Filtrine, Gerber,
Okay.
Halo Water Filtration Systems, and just to name a few, I'm not going to go through all the list. Proflex,
Okay.
which is CSST, which is a gas.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, another Joe company.
Joe, yeah,
It
Joe
is our
Woodward.
president, but it's not Sioux Chief.
Absolutely. SJE Rhombus, and of course I represent Sioux Chief. So
Yeah.
but yeah, very excited to be with CSA Georgia. Got a small but great, mighty and powerful team down here in Georgia. So very excited. And we have our sister company up in the Carolinas.
Yeah.
So they're based out of Charlotte.
Perfect.
CSA.
We just do rough-in, so we need fixtures and all the other
Right.
connections and-
Right. I mean, I think that's the other beautiful aspect of the industry is, you've got companies like Sioux Chief that are and I know I name competition, but at the same time, y'all and Odie are the rough end people. Like
Mhm.
if anybody wants to talk to rough end, you're either gonna one of those two names is gonna come off your lips, right?
Sure.
Correct.
And then, but then there's the fixture side,
Mhm.
and that's a whole nother ballgame. And
It
then
really
there's
is.
the water heater side,
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
and I do like that. I like the fact that every one of those aspects of the industry, y'all have to work together to make your products work together.
Absolutely.
So I like to see that too. So
And it's such a diverse, field. You can go into industrial, mechanical,
man,
you can go into residential, build homes, multifamily. You can go into big one now is tilt wall construction.
okay.
With
Oh, yeah.
Amazon centers,
Yep.
data centers, and things like that. So it's a very big world out there with tremendous opportunity
Yeah.
in the trades. So
Cool. Any last?
That's the manufacturer's reps model is we can't afford to have an agency 100% of the time with all the expenses and everything that are there. And there's a lot of cultural differences. I cover from Louisiana to North Carolina, and Louisiana is a completely different state. They have parishes, not counties, and
Yep.
they have a lot of different legal things. And I see different codes enforced in some places and not in other places. And you kind of have to become an expert on what works in your market if you're selling a product, because they don't use air admittance valves in Louisiana. So
Wow.
I could work all week long telling people we make the best air admittance valve.
And it won't matter a bit.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly.
The local rep is able to attend associations like PHCC.
Yep.
And those are better in some locations than others, depending
Sure.
on who's driving that. So there's no magic bullet anywhere, but
Yeah.
we really respect the manufacturer's model and the expertise that they bring in. Kevin's actually in kind of a special position, and we're doing a few deployments as a Sioux chief specialist. So a heavy part of his workload, near all of his workload at the rep agency is, but you've got a lot of other employees.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you have to know about the other lines and how they fit in. And
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
it's just our line is broad, and David is a Renai guy
Okay.
by background, and he's very technical, has been through training for years and done training, and you need that person. And obviously Renai believes the same thing, or they wouldn't have a rep too. So it takes all of us in this industry to make it go around.
Yeah.
Yeah. David Sellers is our newest addition to CSA. He came, so.
Yes, I knew him when he was at Renai.
Did you know him?
Yeah.
So now he's with CSA.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay.
I have to give him a shout out because he's a new kid on the block. I'm no longer the new kid. He took my new kid on the block card. So
Aren't you thankful?
yeah. No, I loved it. I'm new. I can't use that anymore. He can.
Oh, that's true.
It's part of the evolution.
It is. Yeah. I had to pass the I'm new torch. So you know.
Don't get blamed for everything.
Yeah. Now I just look dumb. I can't say I'm new. I just like, oh. So
Awesome. Well, any last words before we wrap up, gentlemen?
Just want to thank you for being here and everything you're doing. I think it has a higher calling. We're just trying. Industry's 4 generations for me, and I didn't miss many meals, as you can see. So we got by somehow.
that's right.
So just more power to you, and any more gas that we can put on the fire for you. It's just such a gap that needed to be addressed. And you know, you're approaching it with integrity and expertise, and I think your graduates will give you one of those big parties someday for how you made them a millionaire.
Well, we appreciate, and this is something that we push on them is listen. No offense, but listen to the old guys. Listen to the guys that have been around, because y'all have so much to share. And of course, that's one thing I'm trying to do is hold on before you leave.
Right. Exactly.
Don't leave the industry yet. So it to me, it's super exciting to have someone like you here that still has that passion, still has that drive. You're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Right.
And you do want to make sure it gets to the next generation. That I appreciate that so much. So thank you for being here.
Keith, I echo the same thing, man. I appreciate everything you're doing. I've been a big supporter from the Trades Education Center since its inception.
Literally.
And I've seen the growth, and I'm excited that you just continue to grow, and you pour into to the next generation. And what I love is it doesn't have to be somebody that's 18.
No,
somebody that's
56.
Like, well, I'm not that old, but
no, we've had a 56-year-old come through here. So yeah.
Oh, I thought I was.
No, I wasn't picking up. No, I wasn't picking. I know you're 45. Anyway.
God bless you. But no, just what you're doing and how you're pouring into them, and just continue to reinvest back into
it. Absolutely.
In the workforce, which we need.
Awesome.
So thank you, Keith.
Well, thank you guys. Again, folks, this was Bill Summers from Sioux Chief, Regional Sales Manager, and Kevin Swisher from CSA Georgia. Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to make sure I put that Georgia part in there. Thank you guys both. And this has been another fantastic episode of Trade Secrets here at Trades Education Center. We'll see you on the next one.